This is the worst seat in the history of seats. My back hurts.
Oh, poor you. Poor Mike.
All right, quiet on the set. Can we please have quiet on the set?
They're WWE's It Couple. Maurice is the Divas Champion. Really inspired by The Miz. The Miz! The A-list lifestyle. What a way to live, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast arena. Coming to the ring at this time.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
First, representing This Week in Geek, and from parts unknown, he is Mike, the Birdman, Don.
I am one hardcore D-O-double-D.
I'm a nice man. I'm a nice man.
His tag team partner, representing the Geekcast radio network, and hailing from the outer reaches of your mind, he is Mike, TFG1 Blanchard.
I got 4 words for you. Check out my ass.
And from the Great White North, here is your special guest referee, Ryan, the UnEvenFlow.
The multi always gets his man.
You are listening to Mayhem Mics. And now, let's get ready to podcast!
Hello and welcome to Mayhem Mics here on the Geekcast Radio Network and This Week in Geek. This is episode 45. I'm, of course, TFG1 Mike. Joining me is that, I don't know what he is, but he's Ryan the UnEvenFlow Markley. Hello, sir.
Another stunning intro.
Yes, hey, it was better than the last one.
Jury's still out on that.
Come on now. If you guys want to know what we're talking about, go over to the pullback on geekcastradio.com and listen to episode 321. It was a very underwhelming intro. We're doing a first here on Mayhem Mics, and surprisingly, Mike the Birdman Dodd is not back for this episode. But,
Surprisingly.
well, surprisingly... Surprisingly, considering that, you know, when he and I have even mentioned WWE reality TV to you, you're like, ugh.
Oh, to me, yeah, there's a reason for that.
I know, and we'll get into that. But here's the thing, folks. The Miz and Maurice now have their own reality show on USA Network. For years and years and years, we've had Total Divas, we have Total Bellas, we have all this and all that for the WWE reality TV stuff. And there were several times where The Miz and Maurice had appeared on some of the more recent seasons of Total Divas at one point or another, and a couple episodes, I believe, of Total Bellas. I could be wrong about that. However, they now have their own reality show, and I figured, hey, Ryan doesn't like WWE reality television, or any reality television, to be honest with you, so why not have him and give him his opinion on The Miz and Mrs. new show with Mike, The Miz, and Maurice. So why is it that you don't like reality television in general, but also the WWE reality TV stuff?
So in general, and we'll get to this with the WWE stuff, but it's not reality. It's just really poor scripted improv, usually, is the problem. It's essentially what it is. It's scripted shows with people who aren't actors. If I want to watch that, I will watch any measure of network television nowadays, with all the good stuff being on premium cable, essentially. So yeah, that's the main reason. Although, to be fair, I like the reality stuff that reminds me that I'm a terrible human being. New Zealand Border Patrol is one of my favorite shows. I adore it. The Canadian one is boring. It's always stupid Americans who are trying to bring either guns or drugs into Canada in every single episode. Like, whoa, I can't bring my gun up here. This is America. No, it's not, you idiot.
The reason why the Canadian one's probably so boring is because the Canadian mounted police are so, nice. I mean, you all have nothing but Dudley Do-Rights up there.
The New Zealand one's more fun because people try to bring in stuff that clearly you can't bring into a small island with a very small ecosystem.
Oh, boy.
So I get a kick out of that. But anyway, yeah, my main reason, though, is just it's not reality. And I was looking forward to this. Let's just get into it. Because wrestlers in general have to be pretty good at improv. They're usually given just a line or two or certain bullet points that they have to hit, or at least they used to be. Guys like The Rock and Stone Cold, people from that era, that's what they'd be given. And they do a great job with that. And Miz is one who, he's been around long enough. He was also in the era when stuff wasn't just written out point for point for him.
Right.
And he's a guy that's amazing on the mic.
That, and he started in reality TV. Yeah.
So he's got a personality. It's not just a character. And so let's just start with the first episode, which was, I don't know, the first or second episode was probably my favorite. Full disclosure, I didn't get around to watching the fourth one.
Yeah, the fourth one I'm pretty much going to be synopsizing for him and for you all. It's called Proud Pops. It's basically the birth of their child, Monroe Sky. That's really all it is. There's nothing really to the fourth episode, but we are going to talk about all four of them. The first episode, A Simple Misunderstanding. This was the one where Maurice wanted to do a implied nude photo shoot, where it looks like you're nude, but you're not actually nude. Well, apparently Mike missed this part of the implied.
Well, they have his phone supposedly breaks up just for the implied thing.
Yeah.
And so for me, the scenes with Maurice laughing about it were amusing and well done. But the rest of it, I was not a fan. I thought it was too contrived. It's pretty clear that didn't happen. I don't know about you. I don't know how often you use the cell phone. But I find, anyway, they never break up. And not in the middle of a single important word.
Not nowadays, no.
And nobody asks anything relating to it be after that. That's why it was really, really contrived. And that was my least favorite bit of the episode. I preferred the later stuff with Renee and Titus looking for Mike because they think Maurice is having contractions, or actually she even says that she thinks she might be, or she was feeling something.
Yeah, that was
so I thought
hilarious.
that was amusing. I thought it was neat to see all the backstage stuff, by the way, because at one point you can see Sheamus and Cesaro eating together and catering, and just I liked that. I liked the Miz is cheap and the discussions about trying to move and how did they want to do that. The stuff that, to me, was probably not scripted. Because I think both Miz and Maurice are entertaining enough on their own to do it without the scripting.
Right.
I don't know, maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's cool. Second episode was Miz Takes the Cake. This was the one where they're getting... Is it her birth? It's her birthday, isn't it?
No. They're doing a baby shower.
Oh, the baby shower.
I'm sad that I remember. Anyway,
that's
so...
right. That's right. The baby shower cake.
Miz goes to pick up his dad, who is also being cheap, and they ruin the cake, which I thought was a little bit contrived. But on the other hand, so this was probably my favorite episode, because I thought the games and the stuff at the baby shower were kind of fun to see, and the different people there, and getting to see Miz chatting with Dolph and some of the guys backstage. I enjoy that. I think he's an entertaining enough guy. I don't think they need the scripted hijinks and that kind of thing, and to me, it's the low point of the show. and then we get into the third one. I'll let you synopsize the third one first. Or do you want to say the second one? Sorry.
What is interesting, I've always said this about any of the WWE specific Total Divas, Total Bellas, whatever, is the backstage stuff. Like, you're not seeing. You may see part of, like, at one point in episode 4, they have him do his Miz TV segment. Because he goes, in episode 4, he goes back to Cleveland, his hometown, and he goes, I live in LA, I'm not from, he does the whole, heel thing that he's doing. But the cool thing for me about these shows is, it's the same thing as WWE 365 or WWE 24 on the WWE Network. You see who they're actually friends with in real life. Like, I remember matches, I remember feuds with The Miz and Dolph. And it's interesting to me for him to say, or for me to see him say, or whatever, that, hey, Dolph is one of my best friends, yada yada. Same thing with Owens and Balor. Like, if you just watch Raw, SmackDown, and the pay-per-views, you wouldn't think to know that Kevin Owens and Finn Balor are the best of friends.
Or even Owens and Zayn, because they came up with the supposed, they now hate each other line. Or there was the ride-along with Jericho and Owens, and they actually seemed to get along pretty well, despite being two very different people who came up in very different ways, but still have a similar story, and obviously similar interests. And that's the big thing for me, is these people all lead crazy lives. We talk about it with the ride-along, and the ride-along in general, by the way, is just nuts. They're driving from city to city every single night. Could be hours. They could be flying for nearly a day or whatever. They have to get off the car, or get off the plane, or get out of the car or whatever, and just go to work. And that's their life. And so that's what I enjoy seeing / hearing about, is that stuff that I find interesting. Somebody ruining a wedding cake or something like that, any of us can do that. I mean, I've ruined plenty of things, including my own life, but you can do whatever. and all of our podcasts have ruined all those too.
Oh, stop it.
And then there was TFY. Oh, anyway.
Stop it.
They lead really crazy, interesting lives, at least to me. I mean, maybe I'm in the minority, or maybe you and I are, and maybe there obviously are people who enjoy not seeing that part of it, but I just like seeing it. And I know there's always, and we've had this discussion too, how much of behind the scenes is too much for you to be a fan. But I don't have a problem kind of separating the character with the person.
Yeah,
I know I've said that. Yeah, I know I've said it. Sometimes it makes it harder to boo guys, but if they do, I know Thomas Ciampa is not the worst human being in the world, but when he on screen does stuff like spitting on a guy's wedding ring and throwing it in the crowd, it's hard not to boo him or want to see the guy get his comeuppance.
Yeah. So
I don't think it affects it that much. And I like seeing the behind-the-scenes stuff. Miz is such a cowardly piece of garbage in WWE, but he's really good at it. And the person, I'm sure, is a fair amount different. But
that's why I wanted to watch
pieces of him.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to watch this. Like, Total Divas, Total Bellas, whatever. Like the whole point of Total Bellas was so that the Bellas and Cena and Bryan could have their own spin-off show, and to see more of John and whatever. Like, I love John. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge John Cena fan. However, I know John Cena's character. I know what he's like. I know from watching all that other stuff already that, like, I don't need to see more of John on reality TV. I don't need to watch season 4 or 5 or however many it is.
He's also been a little more open about his personal life than someone like, say, The Miz.
Right.
Or take episode 2 as an example. Mm-hmm. Dolph Ziggler. Yep. I can't remember. I know he's done stuff like stand-up. I've seen a couple of things on the network, but I know very little about the guy and have seen very little of the guy outside of wrestling. So I find it interesting that they're friends, that, yeah, they came up roughly the same time. And it's funny that they lived so close together and didn't know each other at all.
Yeah.
But I find stuff like that interesting. Or the fact that, Maryse, who is a pro wrestler, had Avril Lavigne at her baby shower.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't mention, is it the original Avril or is it the replacement? But
if it was the replacement, Chad Kroger would be with her. And that's coming from a Nickelback fan, folks.
Oh, internet conspiracies. But anyway. It's on to episode 3, sorry.
Yes, episode 3, Certified Super Dad. This is the episode where Mike has to do something with WWE and he can't go to the CPR breathing class. And basically her mom, Marjo, goes instead. And they have this... This is why I like this kind of stuff, because like you just said, we get to see them and we get to see their families in most instances. Marjo,
I'm torn though. I'm not sure if she's playing a character though, or maybe it's just me, or maybe this is my problem, not anybody else's. I guess this is probably why I enjoyed episode 2 a little more than this one. But anyway, continue. Sorry.
I don't know. I don't know if this is how she
I don't
really
know
is
them
in real life.
either. So.
I'm just saying that what they're showing me on the screen, she's like, "Oh, I'm the dad now. I'm this. I'm that. I'm going," and it's just a little ribbing of him. But why I like that they're showing this is because the flip side of the coin is you see little quote unquote diary room vignette video pieces where he's like, I want to be the best dad I can. I want to go to all of these. So you see, even though she's making fun of him and she's joking around, it then prompts, I don't know if this is the way it was set up or if it was scripted this way or whatever, it shows the softer side of Miz.
Well, it probably does legitimately bug him that he's going to miss it. And yeah, you're right. This is a strong part of the show because that's something, too, I think most people can relate to. I know, for example, my brother at one point lamented how much of his kids' lives he missed early on because he was a workaholic. And it's something everybody has to get used to, though, is balancing that. And it'll be interesting going forward, as in post episode 4, to see how Miz gets around that, because the lifestyle is, like we said earlier, is ridiculous with just constant travel. And they mention it at one point it was the end of the first episode, that's right, where they're organizing the photo shoot, and Miz mentions that's his one day at home for the next week or so.
A week or 2 weeks or a month or something,
and that's the lifestyle he'll have to get used to. So as sad as that is, he's probably going to miss some more moments.
Yeah. Well, all of these people, not just Miz, anyone in the WWE, I'm sure, like currently right now, and this kind of ties into next week's episode when we review SummerSlam. Currently right now, between AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, they're running this whole feud thing with them where Joe's basically attacking him and his family, saying, his wife resents the fact that he's not at home, and they're doing that whole storyline.
Saying he's a bad father.
Saying he's a bad father,
bad
which
husband.
But you're right. It is going to be interesting to see. Sticking with episode 3 for a minute, the part of the episode that I was just like, wow, like, I'd love to know what Miz's salary is yearly or something, because they go out to dinner, because part of episode 3 is she's having pregnancy cravings. And what she's craving is some sort of spaghetti thing or pasta thing with truffles. And I told my wife Karen about this. I said, you think I usually get the most expensive thing at dinner or whatever, meal, whatever it is. I said, in this episode of this show, what Maryse wanted was $600 and something, and Mrs. meal was like $45. Like, I get it. They're in LA. I understand that, and I understand that with as long as he's been in the business, not only in the WWE, but in entertainment in general, I'm sure as much as he and his dad are, quote unquote, cheapos, like, I mean, come on. And plus, he went back and did it again. That's the funny thing about episode 3 is he complained about the bill on that. He didn't really complain so much, but he, made complaints about it. He went back later to make his wife happy and bought it again. At that point, the doctor said she couldn't have it. So they just wasted $1,200 on 2 meals.
Good.
Freaking phenomenal. What a smell. This is so good.
I've never seen you eat like this, ever.
Those truffles.
Oh.
All right, whenever we're ready.
Thanks, man.
You got it.
My dinner was $45. Your dinner was $600. You liked them?
Yeah, they were good.
Oh, I bet they were.
Those truffles are good.
Oh, I bet they were. Okay, let's see what we got here. Black truffle. The second most commercially valuable species. That's how valuable it is. It's the second one. I wonder if the first one is. Why don't you just go for the first one, Maurice? She got second place. Oops.
He's the white one.
I hope you enjoyed your meal, dear.
Oh my god.
All right, so John is the highest at $10 million a year.
Okay.
Still, Brock, of course, is number 2, despite the fact he shows up 3 times a year. AJ, Hunter, Randy, Seth.
Okay.
Surprised to see him up there already, although he deserves it. Hard worker.
Yep.
Undertaker, surprisingly enough.
Still.
Yeah, still kicking around.
Yep.
Ambrose. And with his new contract, Kevin Owens clocks in at 10.
Wow.
And that's at $2 million a year. Miz, I can't imagine is much under that.
Yeah.
Because he's a guy that's there every single night, much like Kevin Owens is.
Yeah.
Say what you want about him if you're Daniel Bryan, but he's a hard worker.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, they knocked it out of the park on SmackDown.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that later.
Yeah, but great vignettes. It's difficult at this point for me to talk about and think about the Miz without Bryan. They've done a really good job with this slow burning feud between them.
Yep, they have. Overall, how do you feel about Miz and Mrs.? Are we going to be doing more of these, or do you not want to watch it anymore?
It's not bad. It's not great.
No reality television is supposed to be great. I mean,
true. There's enough there. I will keep doing it, and we'll probably talk about it again at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are portions of it. I feel like when you get to see them, it's more entertaining than when they're trying to come up with wacky things for them to do. Who was it? It's Bret Hart's book. That the subtitle is "My Life in the Cartoon World of Pro Wrestling." That's pretty much sums it up. It's essentially a living cartoon, and just seeing that life to me is entertaining enough. I don't need Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul level writing and scenarios for everybody involved. And again, I think Mike Mizanin is a fun and entertaining enough guy on his own.
Yeah,
he's smart. He's funny. He knows how to work a camera and work a crowd. So yeah, just let them keep doing that stuff. And I think as it goes on, it seems like they're leaning towards doing that more and more. Now, you can answer this one, but I assume that most of the baby episode is just kind of them.
Okay, so the episode 4, Proud Pops, is pretty much Mike going back to his hometown and going out to dinner with his dad, but his dad isn't. I don't think his dad is his publicist or manager or person, but his dad basically lines everybody up for photos and autographs and yada yada yada. Miz is there for 45 minutes before he can actually eat dinner or whatever, that kind of thing. As far as the baby stuff, it starts out with him having this funny idea. And of course, Maurice shoots it down, but he has this helmet cam, and he has all these other cameras so he can have 24 angles of the baby birth. And it's just this funny little thing and whatever. She asks her mom not to be in the delivery room because she doesn't get enough private moments with her husband. She wants this to be a special private moment with him, so she asks her mom not to be there, and her mom will come there the next day or whatever. They show the birth and all of that, and then they show them with Monroe Sky and everything else. So it's a very simple reality show baby thing. I've looked at several links about news items for this, and one of the ones that was released through NBC Universal says it's supposed to be an unscripted series. So I don't know.
I have a hard time believing that.
I don't know. I'm just saying it is. We honestly we'll probably tie in the next 2 episodes with whatever we do next on the podcast, because the first season only got 6 episodes.
But as we record, of course, it's been renewed.
As we're recording, we're on the lead up to SummerSlam. In a few moments, we're going to talk about Raw and SmackDown. On August 14th, 2018, it was announced that USA Network had renewed the show for a 14-episode second season. So I think that's cool. USA and NBC and all of that gave it 6 episodes to see if it would work, and it does. Yes, we haven't seen episode 5 and 6 yet, but, whatever. Episode 5 is Road Trip Mania, so obviously that's going to center around the previous WrestleMania we just had. And then episode 6 is called Cowboy Miz. So you had mentioned Bret Hart, and
let's close with a downer for once.
No, we're not closing. We're not done yet. We're not done yet because we still have to talk about the go-home shows for SummerSlam.
Trust me, that's not going to take long.
No, I know. There are just 2 moments that, like you had already mentioned the Miz and Bryan stuff.
Yeah.
I have to mention a moment from Raw. However,
but this has been a garbage 2 months now, I'd say, for wrestling.
With the exception of what happened this week, I agree. With the exception of what happened on August.
No. Sorry, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about the shows. I mean, it's been a garbage 2 months outside of the shows because we had Vader pass away.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We had that's fairly recent. So one we're going to get to the big one in a second, which of course is Jim the Anvil Neidhart. But this past week as well, Brian Danovich, who was a member on the $1 Million Tough Enough Challenge, which was Tough Enough Season 4, died. Sadly, he was 36 years old. He took his own life, and we talked about that with Brian Christopher as well.
Christopher and Volkov.
Nikolai Volkov died, but Christopher and Danovich took their own lives in a business that's incredibly difficult. And I remember when it was announced that Jim the Anvil Neidhart died, and somebody said, or one of the headlines said he was 63 years old. Yeah. And I remember thinking, wow, that's pretty old. No, it's not. No, that's just old for a wrestler, and that's the really sad part about this. And Anvil's a guy who, he didn't hold the world title. He was never pushed sort of as the guy or a main event guy, But I tell you what, any single person who ever saw him or saw his character or any interviews with him, they remember him. He's well remembered from the 80s and 90s, and deservedly so. And by all accounts, he was a good guy behind the scenes as well. And, I mean, you talk about a nightmarish experience for a family. And part of it is because I think I feel like a part of it's because the whole family's been involved in wrestling. And we've talked about what a terrible, rough on the body sport it is. And whether or not you consider it a sport, you have to admit that it's not easy. The lifestyle's difficult. And for the love of God, these guys there either needs to be more independence or, well, actually the independents are doing pretty well now, but they need it. Basically what I want to say is the WWE guys need a union or something. Yeah. Because having to wrestle 300 and some odd days. What did Owens wrestle last year? I think it was 310, and he was number 1 or 2. I think Dean was the only guy that wrestled more. It was over 300 days, if I remember right, though, for those guys. And you look at what Owens has gone through in the past month, falling off the ladder, the cage. I don't care if there's crash pads. You're still falling 20, 30 feet. That's insane.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And then to work every single day, whether you're hurting or that kind of thing, we've talked about it before. It's a terrible lifestyle. And the fact that I looked at Jim the Animal Neidhart's obituary and said, 63, that's pretty good. That's terrible.
That's terrible.
And that whole family, just one after another, and then you throw in people who were associated with them or trained by them. Brian Pillman, he who shall not be named, who we try not to talk about, and his horrible situation with he and his family. It's just, it's sad, and he's well remembered, and it seems like Natalia's doing pretty well along with TJ.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's crazy. It's very sad, but I don't want to take away from it, but it's like, there's always that one person that says, "Oh, well, people get old. That's the circle of life. That's the whatever." Yeah, that's true. But again, I have to remind everybody, these people, especially in the WWE and other wrestling promotions, not just WWE, but when you think of wrestling, what's the first, not you as Ryan, but as people just in general, when they think of wrestling, what do you think of the first thing you're going to say out of your mouth? Oh, WWE. Nobody's going to say TNA, I don't think. No. I mean, so, like, don't get me wrong. The independents are great, and that's, you've got ROH and New Japan and all of that and everything else, but when you think of wrestlers, you think of WWE. There was just a meme the other day with Hulkster. Something about, where he was back in the 80s compared to now, like him being 65 years old or something or other. And I'm like, oh, God, time is really flying by.
And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Look at all those guys from the 80s and 90s that at least I personally watched, and think about how few of them are left. Yeah. And I look at other sports, and I'm, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm a huge football fan. NFL, CFL, whatever. And granted, there have been just a ton of people I respected and I've loved watching, like Junior Seau and others from NFL football who have passed on. But it's not nearly as bad, despite all the issues that exist with that sport as well. And it's just sad. And it's sad anytime, especially, you let these people into your home, essentially, through the television as entertainers, and they come to life and they entertain us. and you feel a connection with them, and it's just sad when any of them pass. And it's also sad because we know Jim was a father to people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just been a bad month for pro wrestling. It just seems like there's been at least a couple deaths every week now.
Yeah, I mean, there have been more wrestling deaths in 2018 than I think celebrity deaths. At least all in, like you're saying, all in a row, like every couple of days, every couple of weeks kind of a thing. I'm sure there have been more celebrity deaths this year so far than wrestling deaths. But my point is, how close together the wrestling ones are is just staggering to think about.
It just feels like there's been a lot of fairly high-profile ones. And again, a lot of that's because of the era we grew up in. I grew up watching it in the 80s, which is well remembered. And then there's the Attitude Era, which is exceptionally well remembered. So we've had guys from both of those pass quite frequently in the last little bit. And you even go more recent. I mentioned Tough Enough, which we're talking about reality shows. I've enjoyed all of the seasons of Tough Enough, but we mentioned we're talking about Miz. Well, Danovich was on that season, and the same one that introduced us to him, and just I don't know.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It really is crazy.
Let's get to the on-air product, which is
less
depressing.
We're going to take a quick break. First up, we're going to talk about Raw's Go Home Show, and then we're going to talk about SmackDown's Go Home Show after this.
Maybe we're not done. Is he here? He is the Kingslayer. The man has arrived.
Oh, guys, look, I got to apologize. I am sorry I'm late. That's not like me. I'm usually right on time. And I'm really sorry you guys had to sit through that Dolph Ziggler therapy session. Woof, right? But, look, I haven't been completely honest with you. I've been here for a little while. But I didn't want to come out here until Dolph had officially signed that contract, because, Dolph, I was afraid you'd change your mind once you heard what I had to say. The truth is I was dealing with some travel issues. They weren't exactly my travel issues. And you know that little clause in the contract about me having someone in my corner at SummerSlam? Well, that was put there for a very particular reason. You see, I've kind of gotten sick and tired of dealing with you guys 2-on-1, and since I know you're going to have the Scottish psychopath in your corner at SummerSlam, I figure I ought to have a lunatic in mind.
All right, folks, SummerSlam is almost upon us, and wow, Monday Night Raw. I have to say that I forgot to watch Raw 1 week recently. Even though I have it on Hulu, I completely forgot to watch it. It wasn't this week's episode. It wasn't the August 13th episode, but I don't know what it is. They just, I don't know. I'm not thrilled with Raw and SmackDown right now. But this past Raw going into SummerSlam, I fast-forwarded through a couple of things, which normally I don't do. But some of the matches I just did not care about on Raw. What I really want to highlight is that final segment, the contract signing. Because holy shit. I had already read the news and I already knew that this was happening, kind of. So, because I have a Google thing on my phone that shows me, hey, this is what happened this week in wrestling before I even get to watch Raw or SmackDown on Hulu the next day. So,
well, aside from that, though, so as somebody that watched everything live, yeah, this was not. So there was one. So there were two good segments that I can remember. I'm actually flipping through now to see what I forgot, and you know what? There wasn't a lot notable. And the two big things I remember, of course, were I liked this stuff with Heyman, Lesnar, and Roman. They have done a very good job with Reigns, and Reigns has done a good job with what they've given him. So that was terrific. And the other thing that I enjoyed is, of course, the return of Dean Ambrose.
Oh my god. Like, I knew where they were going with this throughout the entire night because they first Dolph mentioned the
As soon as they had the handicap match last week. Oh, you missed that. That's right.
Yeah.
So they had a handicap match last week where Seth couldn't find a partner.
Yeah.
And he got beat up by both Dolph and Drew.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as they did that, I figured, okay, well.
See, I thought even though Roman's in the Lesnar thing, I figured, oh, Roman will come. You know,
yeah, he tried to, but they wrote him out, and Kurt said, "Oh, you're not allowed to." Which, by the way, they've let him wrestle twice frequently, but hey.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, I knew this was happening, obviously, because you can't avoid the news online anymore. You just can't. Like, and I think it's great. I loved it, but like the way that this was set up on the show, you know, there's a little reason why that, you know, clause in the contract is there, because I'm sick of you two, you know, it being 2-on-1. So I'm going to have somebody in my corner. And the way that Seth says it, I absolutely love it. You guys will hear the audio in here somewhere, or you might have already heard it, I don't know. And then Dean's music hits, and I'm like, okay, cool, we're great.
Oh my! Look who's here! The lunatic French is back! Dean Ambrose!
He walks out, and I'm like, holy shit, he bulked up. Like, wow. I was not expecting to see, like, Dean has never really been a bulky guy. He's always been that, not super thin, he's had the muscle and things like that, but he's, I don't know, I've never seen him.
He looks more ripped. He's more defined.
Yep.
And I like the look with the short / shaved hair. I gonna sound like a jerk when I say this, and I don't want to, because he still had a great wrestling look. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, the hairline had been receding, and I think, like Baron, he just looks better with it shaved, and both of them, I feel like, look more badass there. I think I said it okay.
There you go.
I wasn't trying to insult the guy, that's the thing. I think he always had an amazing look, and he's a good-looking dude, but I think it works better, especially wrestling-wise, bald. And Corbin, I've mentioned it before, I like what they've done with him. It's too bad that the feud is kind of a go-nowhere, nothing thing. Like, there's no stakes between he and Finn. They're just kind of treading water. But I like the character, and I like what they've given Corbin to do. So, but yeah, there were two good surprises on Raw.
Yep.
Which is more than I can say for SmackDown.
Alright, folks, so I'm going to try to piece this together. I don't think I can put all the audio in, but I'm going to put part of it in right here. We'll be back after you hear about The Miz and Daniel Bryan's 8-year journey.
My NXT rookie, Daniel Bryan.
You're the rookie! I'm the pro!
You wrestle like a coward.
You're nothing!
Why don't you quit? I am here every week. I am clear.
You need me.
You don't know how to wrestle.
You work better than me.
You are soft.
I'm the best!
My career in WWE began in 2010, which is when I officially joined NXT. And I guess it's important to explain that NXT was a little different back then.
This is WWE NXT, where 8 rookies are vying to be the next WWE superstar. Could it be Daniel Bryan?
Back then, NXT was divided into rookies and pros. And even though I had already been competing in Japan and all over the independent circuit for over 10 years, I was completely new to WWE and how everything worked here. And I wanted to learn. So I entered NXT as a rookie, and I was assigned a pro.
I was assigned to be Daniel Bryan's mentor. Of course I was a mentor, because by that point, I'd been in WWE for 5 years and was already a United States champion and a tag team champion, so I knew how to win. But I wasn't just a WWE superstar. I had come from the most popular reality show and was its biggest star, so I knew how to get ratings.
The Miz was so arrogant.
You are nothing in the WWE.
I have my work cut out for me being your pro.
You will respect me as your mentor.
Plus, he had the stigma of being a reality star.
The real world.
Back to New York.
I'm The Miz.
And the honest truth, and it's still true today, is that Miz thought he knew better than everyone else.
Has it really only been an 8-year feud between The Miz and Daniel Bryan? It feels like a lot longer than 8 years.
That was really the highlight of the show, and
Yeah.
I was. So first of all, the New Day Sanity thing was stupid because Sanity hasn't been protected at all. They're just a group of losers at this point, which is a terrible way to introduce somebody. Inevitably, they're going to try to build them back up, but man, there's no way. And Killian Dane was just a destroyer in NXT, and it seemed like very few people could even hurt him, and he just gets pinned in this match. Whatever. The Hardy stuff was also kind of blah. I don't like when somebody's completely distracted and they still kind of just win without a whole lot of trouble, especially since Shelton Benjamin's not just, I guess now he's kind of there, but he never used to be. He was a high quality guy. He could work really well. And the AJ Joe stuff was quite good, but then for some reason it felt like they just kind of ran out of time.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell happened at the end there. Like, usually these shows are so scripted and everything else, you can almost count the beats. But then for some reason at the end of this, we don't get to see AJ's reaction or anything else. They just kind of, we get a quick stare and then we cut to the commercial. Yeah. And on was it YouTube or maybe it was their, I can't remember which of WWE, sorry, I don't follow them on social media. One of WWE's social media things, they showed that AJ tried to attack Joe. And okay, that might have been nice if they actually had it on the show.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
This has not been a great... So, the matches I'm looking forward to for SummerSlam, because the build has sucked. I don't care about the tag match, which, by the way, sucks, because I like Bludgeon Brothers and The New Day. Right. But I don't care. They've done a terrible job building that up. I don't care about Andrade, Cien Almos, and Rusev, unfortunately. By the way, Rusev went from world title match with AJ to...
Babyface.
to random matches with Andre Cien Almos, who's just up from NXT.
Yeah.
Great. I don't really care about Owens and Braun Strowman, and I feel real bad saying that because I love Owens and he's done everything he could to make this interesting. But I don't know, this week really took the wind out of any sail this thing had going with the stupid tag match.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
And I mentioned it before, I don't care about Finn and Baron because there's no stakes.
Yeah.
So then we get to the other matches. Oh, by the way, I could care less about Bobby Lashley and Elias. Elias I find entertaining, but this whole Lashley comes out and beats him up every week.
It's a little ridiculous.
I don't care. Next.
I don't care either. But it's very, very ridiculous.
So lastly, then we have our old pal Roman and Brock. The build up to that's been great, but I can't see a reason why Roman wouldn't win this.
Yeah, like they need to figure out,
Yeah, and so then we end up with, I'm interested in AJ and Joe because A, their match is going to be incredible, and B, despite the misstep, it hasn't been that bad a build. Oh, I'm going to add one more match too, actually, that I'm interested in. And then there's Miz and Daniel Bryan, which I think should be fantastic. And then lastly, I am interested in Rousey and Bliss. I'm curious to see how that breaks down. I'm curious if they're going to put the belt on Rousey already. I don't know how that match will finish, and that makes me interested. And the other stuff, I just don't. Hasn't been good builds. I don't care. I don't care about the Authors of Pain and Titus Worldwide. I care so little. I'm choking. So
yes, we have 12 matches at SummerSlam. Okay,
it's supposed to be 7 hours.
Stop it. So
no, it is. I'm not joking.
We have 12 matches at SummerSlam. For me, I just want to see Roman win. I don't really care. I don't care about them. I just want to see him pin him already. Like, that's all I care about. Or I want to see either Owens or Strowman or whoever come in and pin him. Like, I don't want to see Roman get cheated, but I don't want Brock to have the belt anymore. I want Brock to go away.
The belt needs to be on the show, and it needs to be a focal point.
Yeah, and it hasn't been.
Yeah, and if they're not going to have it be a focal point, why has AJ's not been? He's now, by the way, the longest running champion with that belt.
Yeah, 500 days, I think they said.
Well, no, it's 281 days.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know where that puts him on the all-time list, but he passed JBL.
Yeah. I'm interested about the Ronda Bliss match. I could care less about the Triple Threat Women's match. As much as I like...
Which sucks, because I like
Becky,
everybody, but yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
The build's been crap, and then they just throw Charlotte in randomly. She's been gone forever.
Yeah, the build has been crap because I know it's Carmella's shtick. Mella is money and all that, and I'm the best, and I beat Charlotte Flair 2 times. Yeah. I don't care enough about the character Carmella is currently using that I just don't care. I'm interested in Braun and Owens only because I love both of them.
Yeah, I love both guys, so it makes me sad that I'm not more interested in that, but I don't know.
I have zero interest in Shinsuke and Hardy. As much as I like Jeff, I have zero interest in that.
I like both guys, and I like what they're doing with Randy, and I totally forgot about that.
I know, right?
So I guess that means I'm not that. I mentioned it before that's been one of, especially Orton has been one of the most entertaining parts of SmackDown lately, but yeah, I totally forgot about it.
Yeah. Miz and Bryan I'm interested in. The rest, I don't care. Rusev versus Cien Almas with Lana and Selena. I don't care. Like, I cared when it was like.
And I love Rusev.
I love Rusev now.
I thought his match with Styles and that super fast setup feud and everything else, I thought that should have been proof that he should be closer to the top. Or, if not main event, he should be somewhere up there. But, no, apparently not.
Apparently not. Like I said, yes to Miz and Bryan. I mean, Seth and Ziggler, I'm curious to see, just because I like seeing Seth win at this point. And with Dean being back, I seriously, well, Dean's not going after a championship yet, though. So if Roman gets Universal and Seth regains Intercontinental, 2/3 of the Shield will be champions. If they set Dean on a path where he gets, like, the U.S. championship or whatever, something.
The only thing I don't like with Dean getting involved in that is either he comes back and is involved in losing, or Seth losing, or they beat Dolph with Drew McIntyre, and McIntyre has main event money written all over the guy to me.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like it's inevitable they're going to have him feud with Roman, because you look at the two guys, I think that's a good matchup, and the two of them look like they should be fighting each other too. They're big dudes, good looks to them, everything. But we'll see.
If it was my choice, I would have Drew go up either against Kevin or Braun at one point down the line.
Yeah, my other concern too is that they're going to turn Ambrose on Rollins, or vice versa. But we'll see.
I just want a Shield reunion, damn it. That's all I want. Come on. We did it once before for like 2 seconds. And then, yes, Ambrose got hurt and that sucked. But the Bliss-Rousey match I'm really interested in, because I don't know if it's because she doesn't have enough WWE experience yet, but Ronda really, the way the storyline's been played, Ronda hasn't really done much. Yes, she's armbarred a lot of women, but like we haven't really seen all she can do. We've only seen
I think part of it is to protect her the way they should have been doing with Sanity and some of the other new debuts, where you don't. If you have somebody on too much, at some point they have to lose or get outsmarted, or something has to happen. Or else you just build them up as the unstoppable force, and then when they lose, what do you do with them, Asuka? Nia Jax. The problem is WWE doesn't know how to build people very well. They either give them a long winning streak, and then when they lose, they don't have a clue what to do. Yeah, or they just throw them into the mix, and they win some, they lose some, and they become another 50-50 guy. They only seem to protect a handful of people, and Roman's one of them who's protected. Brock is another one. Brock, it makes sense because he's an attraction, and I think that's what they want with Rousey. Just she's an attraction who's going to be there every week. Yeah. Which, by the way, is a huge improvement, because I'm so sick of the Brock. Although, to be fair, anytime Heyman is on is a joy.
Absolutely, yeah. The other thing we ought to bring up before we get out of here is they made this big thing about how on Raw this past week, going into SummerSlam, that first ever female commentator in Renee Young, like throughout the whole show.
Shit, yeah, I should have mentioned that.
Because Jonathan Coachman was off on some other assignment or something or other. I mean, I know they've had certain females on commentary, but they really haven't had a straight...
No, not for the entire show either. Okay. It's just been a match here or there, or maybe a couple of segments.
Yeah.
And to be fair, man, she did a pretty good job.
She did really good.
Yeah, I was quite impressed. And there's not a nice way to put this, but the bar was real low, because Coachman has been horrible since he came back. He doesn't understand the rules. I remember him and Cole talking about, Ziggler's just going to leave with the belt when the match was tied 4-4 in the Iron Man match. Yeah, if he does that, he loses, because the countouts count. Or Coachman's brilliant. There's nowhere for Owens to go when he's talking about the steel cage match, and one of the stipulations is leaving the cage.
In any possible way you can think of.
And then my other one, who was it? Somebody had sorry, forget not knowing the names here, in a bear hug, and Coachman goes, "Oh, well, he's getting a rest." No, it's supposed to be a painful hold, you numbskull.
Yeah.
How is Coachman so bad? And it's funny because Graves just lights him up every single Raw and calls out all the stupid stuff. Oh, another personal favorite, Seth Rollins goes up 1-0 in the Iron Man match, and Coach goes, "Does this bode well for Seth Rollins? He's up 1-0, you idiot."
You idiots.
It's like, does it bode well for the Patriots that they scored the first touchdown in the game? Gee, I don't know. It's better being up than down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but even without that, I thought she did a really good job.
Yeah, she did a very good job. I read a news article online about how she had tweeted out or something she had revealed about, because obviously Vince is in all of their ears throughout the entire show half the time.
Yeah.
She said that the only thing he had said to her, he spoke to her one time in her earpiece, basically saying kind of like, take it easy, slow down kind of a thing. If that's the only note she got, then she did a really damn good job. If the boss is only saying to, slow down just a little bit,
For people who don't or haven't watched some of her other stuff too, she's really knowledgeable about wrestling.
She is the best interviewer I've seen since I've been watching since 2007.
Talking Smack was one of the few shows that was legitimately... It was one of the few after-show shows that was legitimately watchable, and a lot of that was her work.
Yep, absolutely.
I was the Intercontinental Champion. A champion, and I could barely get on television. Daniel was using his position of power to punish me, and I had enough.
I have respect for the title, I just don't have respect for the person holding it. There's no gentle way to say it. To me, you wrestle like a coward.
Somebody needed to tell Daniel the truth.
I'm the coward in the wrestling ring.
Yeah.
But let's talk about cowards for 1 second. The reason I wrestle the way I wrestle is because I can do it day in and day out. I have never in my career ever have been injured. But you sit there and call me a coward? Well, why don't you quit? Why don't you quit and go to the bingo halls?
And to be honest, I was fully expecting to get knocked out. But...
because the fact is, you're the one that calls me the coward, but you're the one that doesn't get in the WWE ring again. No, don't you walk away from me, Daniel. Don't you walk away.
Her, even though it was kind of a farce, it was a setup, not on her part, but on Heyman's part. It was all set up and scripted to show his vulnerable side going into this whole thing. Her interview with Heyman was like, wow, she's just trying to work it here. Like, there's not really anything she can do with the way that he was being in that little interview.
It was really well done, too.
Yeah.
And also, it takes two to tango. So she's got to know how to do all of the important things and how to hit all of those beats and how to let Heyman hit all those. Yeah. And it worked, yeah.
It did very much work. I think that's about it. I don't think there's too much else, unless there's anything else you want to bring up.
Nope.
All right, where can the people find you online, sir?
At Nightbeat on Twitter.
I am at TFU and Mike on Twitter. You can follow at Geekcast Radio and at This Week in Geek on Twitter as well. Going to our websites, geekcastradio.com, thisweekingeek.net. We will catch you next time, where Mike the Birdman Dodd will be making a special return for SummerSlam, because SummerSlam is our next episode, in episode 46 of Mayhem Mics, and then after that, I don't know. I have no clue. We're either going to do Ride Along, or we'll do the other 2 episodes of Ms. and Mrs., or we'll do Table for 3, or we'll be doing something else, folks. Who knows? We will catch you next time here on Mayhem Mics.
Insert offensive item right here.
You just made the list.
All clear.